You ever have one of those moments where just know, you've become the main character in someone else's disaster story? Because that was me right there, standing in my driveway at 7:32 on a random Tuesday morning, still wearing mismatched socks, watching 3 police cruisers parked under my mailbox, neighbors in pajamas clutching coffee mugs, and Karen Winters, our beloved, power-hungry HOA president, screaming so loud the birds gave up on singing for the day. All because of one glorious, skull-rattling blast from a vintage Firehouse Siren mounted above my garage. 8 seconds, 130 decibels, louder than a rock concert, and about 10 times more satisfying. You are finished in this community. Karen shrieked, mascara smudging, blonde bob trembling, as she pointed at my garage like she was casting out a demon. This is harassment, domestic terrorism. I swear I saw Mrs. Potter across the street clutch her pearls. Behind me, I felt a tug on my shirt, my niece Lucy, eyebrows raised, lips curled in a mischievous half-smirk. She signed, fast and subtle, worth it. I signed back, totally worth it. Officer Rodriguez, one of the good ones, strode up, trying not to smile. Mr. Callahan, I'm gonna need you to explain what happened here. I straightened up, doing my best choirboy act. Of course, officer. I was just testing my historical display. There must have been some kind of malfunction. Let me back up a second. Because honestly, I engineered this whole circus. I'm Mike Callahan, 42 years old, career firefighter, never been on the wrong side of the law in my life. Until Karen decided to turn Oak Ridge Estates into her own little fiefdom. But if you want the whole truth, how a regular guy ends up at war with his HOA, you gotta rewind 3 months. What do you mean I need permission to install alarm lights? I asked, hands clasped, trying not to crush the plastic seat at my very first HOA meeting. The room smelled like Lysol and anxiety. Karen, perfect nails tapping a folder, gave me a smile with all the warmth of an open freezer. Mr. Callahan, every exterior modification requires board approval. It's in the covenant you signed when you took ownership of your parents' house. I tried to keep my voice level. There's safety lights connected to smoke detectors. My niece is deaf. She's moving in while my brother and his wife are overseas. Karen arched an eyebrow, glancing around the room for backup. That's a very touching story, but rules are rules. You'll need to submit the proper application forms, including mock-ups, technical specs, and a statement of aesthetic integration. Aesthetic integration. For safety alarms. I scanned the table, everyone looking at their hands except for Bill Henderson, who offered a tiny, helpless shrug. My niece arrives in 2 weeks. How long does approval take? Applications are reviewed at monthly meetings, Karen said. But since today's meeting is already in progress, you'll have to wait until next month. The math wasn't matting. That was after Lucy arrived. This is a safety issue. Karen didn't blink. Perhaps you should have planned ahead. Then she pivoted to a debate on mailbox colors. I left that meeting certain I'd entered the upside down, a universe where common sense had gone out for milk and never came home. That night, I called my brother Jake. They're just lights that flash with the alarm, I said. Not like I'm putting up a neon sign. He groaned. Lucy needs those, Mike. She's independent as hell, but she can't hear smoke detectors. I've got her covered inside, I said. Bed shakers, strobes, the works. But if she's out back, she'll never know. She's looking forward to this, Talks about her cool firefighter uncle all the time. No pressure, right? Hours researching ADA law later. I found out HOAs can stall, delay, and stonewall reasonable accommodations until you run out of time and patience. I printed the forms and started filling them out, detailing every technical spec for a simple visual alarm system. 2 rejections later, one for incomplete info, the second for aesthetic concerns. I found myself at Denny's, 3 cups into bad coffee, staring at my latest rejection. Officer Rodriguez slid into my booth. You look like a man contemplating arson, he said. Just figuring out how many smoke detectors it would take to deafen my neighbors. He grinned. HOA problems, huh? How'd you guess? Because nobody looks this defeated unless they've tangled with the IRS or an HOA president on a power trip. He sipped his coffee. Let me guess, Karen Winters. You know her? Everybody in uniform does. We got a whole phone line just for her complaints. Last month she called in a suspicious package. It was her own Amazon order. I told him about Lucy, the alarms, the rejections. Rodriguez frowned. You looked into the ADA angle? I'd have to sue, and Lucy's here in a week. He rubbed his chin. There was this case over in Ridgewood about a wind chime. Guy kept getting cited, but it didn't stick because it counted as a historical display. Predated the rules. He winked. Not that I'm suggesting anything. He tossed cash on the table. Just remember, I never said a word. Lucy arrived the next Saturday. Last time I'd seen her, she was 12. Now she's a teenager, sharp as a tack, stubborn like every Callahan. She steps off the plane, signs lightning fast. My ASL's rusty. I catch every third word. Did you get the alarm lights fixed? She signs, and my heart sinks. I fumble through working on it. Inside alarms are good. She tries to hide her disappointment. 2 a.m. that night, Lucy shakes me awake, pale, pointing toward the hallway. The smoke detector's chirping, a dying battery. She can't hear it, but she somehow sensed something was wrong. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about fighting Karen. This was about keeping Lucy safe and proud. I needed a solution. HOA be damned. You want me to what? Bill asked, nearly spilling his beer. We were hiding from Karen's Sunday patrol in his garage. Bring up my case at the next meeting. They listened to you. Bill sighed. I'm on the board because I never make waves. Karen only tolerates me because my wife does her taxes. Come on, Bill. This is wrong. He hesitated. Mike, you rented this house out for 2 years. You really think your tenants followed every HOA rule? My stomach dropped. She's got dirt on everybody, he whispered. Karen doesn't lose. But he agreed to try. The meeting was a disaster. Bill brought up Lucy, framed it as a reasonable accommodation. Karen smiled like a vulture. While we sympathize with Mr. Callahan's niece, we have to consider the precedent. Next, someone will want wheelchair ramps that don't match the aesthetic. I exploded. You're comparing accessibility to paint colors? Mr. Callahan, you're out of order, she snapped. Only board members may speak. This is about a teenager's safety. What we're discussing is property values, Karen shot back. Your guardianship doesn't justify permanent modifications. The room was dead silent. Maybe this isn't the right community for your situation. I almost lost it. Bill caught my eye, gave a small shake of his head. I took a deep breath. I'll resubmit. Next month's meeting, Karen replied, fake sweet as ever. Desperate, I met with an ADA attorney. They can't prevent a reasonable accommodation for a disabled resident, Anita said. But fighting it will take months. Lucy's already had a close call, I said. Isn't there a workaround? She smiled. HOAs run on loopholes. What's allowed without approval? I remembered Rodriguez. Historical displays. Maintenance of existing fixtures. Now you're thinking, Anita said. Just officially, I never suggested this. So I called Tony, my kitchen contractor, part-time miracle worker. I want to mount a vintage Firehouse Siren above the garage, as a historical display. We stood in my garage, looking at my dad's old memorabilia. The centerpiece, a 1950s Federal Signal siren, used to perch atop the station where Dad worked. That thing's almost 100 pounds, Tony said. And if you wanted to, hypothetically, hook it to an alarm system? Hypothetically, yes. He grinned. It'd wake the dead. Or, alert a deaf niece. He named his price. I paid. Tony made it look ancient, strategic rust, fake weathering. I photoshopped old family pictures, showing the siren lurking in the background. Got Bill and 2 other old-timers to sign affidavits. It had been there since forever. Karen's inspection was as fun as a root canal. She bristled at the siren. This was not the application you submitted. Didn't submit one. Historical display. My dad's legacy. That exemption is for plaques, not industrial noise machines. It's non-functional, I lied straight-faced. Just a display. She glared. We'll discuss it the next meeting. Looking forward to it, I replied. Lucy and I settled into a rhythm. She'd correct my signing, mock my slow progress. Why HOA lady so angry? She signed, grinning. Because I'm breaking her rules. Not broke yet, she signed back. When? Soon, I promised. Then her face turned serious. Not want trouble for you. Family first always, I signed. And I meant it. Then came the toaster fire. I was showering, Lucy making breakfast. She panicked, tried unplugging the oven, smoke rising. I rushed downstairs. House full of blaring alarms, Lucy frightened, feeling helpless. Didn't know, she signed. Couldn't smell it. Not your fault. Need better alarms. When HOA say yes. I have a backup plan. Trust me. She smiled. Always trust firemen. That night, Tony finished the wiring. Siren wired to the alarm, remote trigger on my phone. Lucy knew the plan. She'd feel the vibrations, even if she couldn't hear it. The next morning I texted Bill. Everyone at the meeting? Full house. Karen reviewing violations. Now's your moment. Ready? I asked Lucy. She grinned. Ready. I pressed the button. And that's how we got to my driveway. Karen shrieking, police lights spinning, neighbors gawking. Rodriguez tried to look stern. Noise ordinance violation. Just a test, officer. Historical equipment. Karen was hysterical. He did this on purpose, during our meeting. This is harassment. Rodriguez cut her off. Ma'am, lower your voice. Don't tell me to lower my voice. I produced my folder, affidavits, photos, bylaws. Historical fixture, predates current rules. Karen went purple. You falsified those documents. Fraud. Right on cue, Anita appeared, cool as ever. Fraud is a serious charge, Miss Winters. So are repeated violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act. My client has exhausted all channels for a reasonable accommodation. Karen sputtered, but Anita was just getting started. He only used the pre-existing fixture after the board denied him 3 times. Bill stepped forward, voice shaking. I can confirm. They denied his application over and over. Other neighbors spoke up. Wheelchair ramps denied, access rails blocked. Anita smiled. Sounds like a class action in the making. Karen flailed. This isn't, we have procedures. Yes, I said. Procedures that put appearances over people. Rodriguez coughed. So about the noise, Anita promised. Siren only gets tested with advance notice, emergencies only. See that you do. Rodriguez nodded, satisfied. Karen stared at me, at the neighbors, at Anita. This isn't over, she muttered. But it was. A week later, Karen was on vacation. Bill ran the emergency board meeting, unanimously approving my visual alarm system. Tony installed the strobe network within days. The siren stayed up, now with an official plaque, in honor of Oak Ridge Fire Station 12. 3 months later, Karen's house had a for sale sign, and rumors flew about lawyers and downtown condos. The HOA adopted more flexible guidelines, and other neighbors finally got the accommodations they needed. A year after the siren incident, Lucy's parents came home to find her thriving, on the swim team, with a garden in the yard, signing secret handshakes with Rodriguez, who dropped by for coffee. Didn't expect you to overthrow a suburban dictatorship, Jake said, laughing as Lucy showed her mom the garden. Just doing what needed to be done, I replied. Jake glanced at the garage. What's with the siren? The once plain metal was now painted with bright colors and flowers, Lucy's design. She said if it's part of the family, it deserves a makeover. Jake grinned. Sometimes the loudest statement is standing up for those who can't be heard. Lucy caught us looking, signed, best uncle ever. I signed back, worth it. She flashed a smile. Totally worth it. 6 months later, I was elected to the HOA board. My first move, a community-wide disaster prep program with ASL training and accessibility equipment for every block. It passed unanimously. And every year, that vintage siren gets tested during our Good Neighbor Day. Tony grills, Rodriguez brings the K9, and for a while, everyone remembers, rules matter, but people matter more. Sometimes you gotta make a little noise to make a difference. Now, I want to hear from you. Ever had to stand up for what's right against a system that refused to listen? When does following the rules cross the line into injustice? Drop your story below, I'll be reading.